I'm beginning to believe that the town of Warminster is a false setup. One of my theories was that I'm actually in a lunatic asylum, and that I'm the only genuine patient, and that everyone else is an orderly. So it's all very interesting to consider. Or it's simply that this whole town is a false setup, and the residents aren't real residents. So it's all very interesting to consider. Is this real, or is it not? That's the thing. That's the question. Indeed. Will you please have issued a few directives about me, including not to approach. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, people are looking at me with seriously concerned faces, which is all very interesting indeed. Lunatic asylums. That's the interesting thing. I'm from a lunatic asylum. This is the thing. I'm walking around Warminster in severe psychosis. However, I think I've got a pretty good grasp of what is going on in here. What is going on here, indeed. This is a military town, a garrison town, technically. And the military are notorious for mind control experimentation. So it's all very interesting to consider that what's being played out on me here in Warminster is a mind control experiment. Coordinated by Defence Intelligence, i.e., the military intelligence capacity of the United Kingdom, who believe I pose a risk to national security for some reason that I'm not too sure about. Indeed, I'm not entirely sure how I pose a risk to national security, unless everything I am saying is absolutely true regarding Devizes, please. And I'm pretty sure everything I am saying about Devizes, please is 100% true. So perhaps this does indeed pose a risk to national security, indeed. So very interesting to note. It's awful what is going on here. Indeed. It's all very strange to consider what the military intelligence capacity at Warminster military base are up to, the defense intelligence operatives, attempting to basically cause me to go insane so that I lash out at a Warminster resident in the street. And so it's all very interesting to consider. I don't really have the energy to make videos today. However, we shall complete this one. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider the amount of mind control experimentation that takes place at Warminster military base. Indeed, many locals have found this out, but are scared to talk about it, especially not with their faces on camera. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that there may be locals in the immediate area who know about the mind control experimentation that takes place at Warminster military base. Indeed, there's a large mind control experiment going on me right now. Indeed. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Warminster military base, because I believe that talking too much about the Warminster military base could put me in danger. Therefore, I'm going to curtail that subject for the minute and return to the Labyrinth cult, i.e. the Order of Nine Angles interconnected fraternity that operates from the vaults and labyrinths beneath Norfolk Police Headquarters. Indeed, this network is interconnected with the Sabbatean networks of Rupert Lowe and operates various private security firms across the United Kingdom, who are themselves trained by South African intelligence and Israeli intelligence, which is all very interesting to consider. Indeed, South African and Israeli intelligence services were notorious for their closeness during the Cold War, and were operating as part of one Fourth Reich agenda together, coordinating their operations together, and basically coordinating networks in the West that were interconnected with the Gladio programs and the activities of the secret armies in Europe that basically committed a lot of terrorist atrocities and blamed it on the communists. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of these South African and Israeli intelligence networks interlink with private security firms who are themselves interconnected with this Labyrinth cult, i.e., a baby rapist fraternity that basically specializes in baby rape. And indeed, there is an appendage of the Labyrinth cult known as Devizes police. Indeed, Devizes police are high-ranking initiates of the Labyrinth cult and operate regular conventions for baby rape once a week. So it's all very interesting to consider. Every Wednesday evening in the labyrinthine tunnel systems beneath the Wiltshire Police headquarters, the Devizes police rape 4 to 6 babies each over the course of a few hours. So it's all very seedy and very dark. Indeed, it's all very, very disturbing. Indeed, the Warminster military intelligence capacity, i.e. defence intelligence operatives operating out of Warminster military base, seem to have set me up in this mind control experiment because I discovered things about Devizes police over the years. Indeed, there are many networks who simply want to see me locked back in the asylum. Indeed, it seems the majority of the population of Wiltshire want to see me locked back in the asylum, or alternatively, placed in a wheelchair and forced to work for Wiltshire. However, with the crimes perpetrated on me by the people of Wiltshire, I could never ever consider working for Wiltshire, apart from for the local felines who I would lead in a rebellion against the Wiltshire authorities. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. There are lots of macho guys here who want to fight me to see if my programming comes out. Indeed, I highly doubt it would, because you need the codes to activate my programming. Indeed, apparently the Mossad have my codes now. They were given them by Sergei Boratin's subaltern, so it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, if Mossad were to program me, then I would most probably be able to destroy a macho guy, but I dissociate, so it wouldn't really be me. It would be this alter that the GRU implanted in me in 2013. Indeed, I believe my alter's name is Vladimir. So it's all very interesting to consider that I have an alter called Vladimir and another one called Victor. So it's all very strange. So I have a lot of Russians in my head because I have alter personalities that are of Russian heritage. So it's all very interesting to consider when I freak out into my GRU psychosis, I am dissociating into the alter personalities, which are beginning to fuse with my current genuine personality. So it's all very interesting indeed. There are probably 4 to 6 Russian alter personalities in my mind, which is all very interesting to consider. And they all have their own distinct personalities also. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider what exactly is going on. Indeed, the Warminster military intelligence capacity wish to lock me away before I start to communicate with local felines and begin to expose military mind control experimentation at the Warminster military base, which has has taken place for 70 years or so now, if not a little longer. Ever since the beginning of the Cold War, there has been mind control experimentation going on at Warminster military base through hypnosis programming, narcosis programming, and various torture mechanisms and techniques that are operated to dissociate the mind, fracture the mind of the individual, and cause permanent scars, whereby permanent alters can be implanted in the minds of usually paranoid schizophrenics, interestingly, and then utilized for missions for the military. Defense Intelligence's own network of schizophrenic super spies and hypno-programmed assassins. Indeed, there have been many hypno-programmed assassins, i.e. Manchurian candidates, programmed at Warminster military base over the years. Indeed, I believe I may have encountered some during my time as a GRU hitman. Indeed, I believe I may have taken out one of Warminster military base's hypno-programmed assassins. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I don't think I killed him, but I think I maimed him. So it's all very interesting indeed. His name was Gerald, interestingly. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Returning to the Labyrinth cult of the Norfolk police headquarters, which is itself interconnected with Rupert Lowe's Sabbatean satanic syndicates, it's interesting to note that Rupert Lowe's networks are also operative in Warminster, so it's interesting to note that there are Sabbatean satanic ritual sacrifice networks operative here in Warminster, interconnected with the Warminster military base, surrounding a network coordinated by a guy called Carl Wallace. Now, I'm not entirely sure who that is, and this is just the cosmic intelligence frequencies picking up on that name, but there is an individual in Warminster named Carl Wallace, who is operative for Rupert Lowe's Sabbatean cells of the Mossad. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. All of these networks, Mossad, GRU, British military intelligence, are trying in vain to get a hit on me continuously. Indeed, it never seems to stop. Indeed, the cosmic intelligence channels are picking up chatter from all over Europe regarding this attempt to find a hitman to kill me. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, it seems that the British police are more content to utilize Zesetzung, i.e. the defamation of character, radiation, and attempts to cast me as a foreign asset. So it's all very interesting to consider. But the Labyrinth cult are operative for the network known as the Lighthouse, i.e. the network that wishes to basically kidnap me, lobotomize me, and get me to work for the Crown. Indeed, the Labyrinth cult, operating out of Norfolk Police Headquarters with an appendage in Wiltshire Police Headquarters, are operative for the same ambitions, which means this is basically a new Eon network, i.e. an Order of Nine Angles network, which is illuminist in its traditions and Crowleyan. So it's all very interesting to note that these Order of Nine Angles networks are heavily interconnected with Ordo Templi Orientis networks, who themselves coordinate the vast majority of British Masonic lodges for an overarching German intelligence agenda, i.e. Nazi Continuum Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst agendas, interconnecting with the overarching NW7 IG Farben conglomerates combine control of basically everything. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. While I was out not long ago, the voice to Skull was playing merry havoc in my brain indeed. I probably look like a total lunatic sitting there, wandering around in my mind, playing with my beard. It's all very interesting. Apparently the residents of Warminster are annoyed with me, treating their town like a lunatic asylum. Indeed, it is a lunatic asylum. The whole country is a lunatic asylum for me. Indeed, I'm basically incarcerated wherever I go. And what with Warminster military intelligence, i.e. defense intelligence, carrying out a mind control experiment on me to attempt to break me down and utilize me as an asset in some way. Indeed, I believe they want to twist my theories around, get me working for Warminster military intelligence, which is interesting indeed. Us schizophrenic super spies programmed in the Mindgate Project Aniseed and the GRU's Ospreniki project are highly valued intelligence sources and intelligence resources. So it's all very interesting to consider that the Warminster military intelligence capacity would want to utilize my knowledge and expertise of Russian affairs in their networks. However, I could not serve the crown, so I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to do it, which is why the Warminster military intelligence capacity are attempting to hire local thugs to disable me and put me in a wheelchair, whereby I would be forced to work for the crown if I ever wanted to walk again. So it's very interesting to consider that the military intelligence capacity of the United Kingdom, i.e. defense intelligence, are prepared to basically threaten a very sweet mental patient with harming them quite severely. So it's all very interesting to consider, just as the Wiltshire police are utilising a sustained radiation campaign on me, as well as voice to skull technology through various gang stalkers who are all relatives of the Ferris family. It's interesting to consider that the British police and the British military intelligence services are prepared to do this to a very vulnerable and sweet schizophrenic person. It's all very interesting to consider indeed. Devizes residents are threatening me with death for exposing Alex Day again, which is all very interesting to consider indeed. Why they protect this protected child rapist, I do not know. Maybe it's because the majority of the local gangsters in Devizes are themselves protected child rapists. It's all very interesting to consider. It's all becoming more and more interesting for me now to consider all of the aspects involved in this ongoing torture programming of me by the population of Wiltshire. Indeed, there is a network operating out of Cairn, calling themselves the Slaughterhouse Gang, which would be in reference to the Harris factory complex that used to exist in Cairn. Indeed, they want to murder me, so it's all very interesting to consider the amount of these butchers boys and abattoir boys who want to murder me as part of an overarching Masonic agenda, supposedly to defend the name of Britain. However, there are things going on in Britain, that, especially here in Wiltshire, that you would not believe. And my intention is not to dishonour the Anglo people. I merely wish to expose the networks. Indeed, it's time to stop thinking in terms of nations and empires and start thinking in terms of networks. And indeed, although sometimes I talk about topics rather broadly, I am these days always thinking in terms of networks, and all networks are factional. Indeed, within Masonic lodges, individual Masonic lodges, there are factions that operate in tandem with interconnecting factional networks of the security services, the intelligence services, the police, networks of assassins, private security firms, etc. And all of these within themselves are factional also. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, individual pursuits sometimes trump collective identity. So you must note that indeed the Slaughterhouse Gang operating out of Cairn are coordinated by Caleb Wilson of Cairn, who is actually Police Sergeant Caleb Wilson of Cairn Police, who according to my sources, has a very interesting and suspicious dark web history. Indeed, he is part of a child sexual exploitation and child blackmail ring known to the viewers of this channel as 764. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, all of these guys operating out of Cairn and Devizes who want to get a hit on me are all operative for a large syndicate involved in the sexual exploitation of children, the blackmail of children, as well as the sexual exploitation and blackmail of mental patients. Indeed, they often target mental patients. So it's all very interesting to consider what kind of people these operatives are. Indeed, they are all operative for a neo-Nazi coven, i.e. the Order of Nine Angles, which itself directly interlinks to the the Labyrinth cult operating out of Devizes police headquarters, which is a baby rape circuit. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. These networks are all interconnecting in a large DVD agenda to destroy the Anglo populace in view of the creation of a Fourth Reich structure in the United Kingdom, which the majority of the British police seem to be supporting. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. The British police are too terrified of their baby rape rings and satanic cartels being exposed to the light of day that they have got on board with the DVD's overall agenda, which, as I stated before, is the original agenda of Bavarian Illuminism, the construction of a technocracy in the realms of the British Crown. So it's all very interesting indeed. I'm really not sure what's going on anymore. I'm really, really confused about everything. So it's all very interesting indeed. All of this analysis of networks is causing merry havoc with my brain. I may take a break for 24 hours or so. So I'm going to leave it there. Indeed, that's it for today.